Well, thank you so much, guys, for taking the time to talk to me.
No problem at all. So nice to speak to you and see you again as well.
I know, yeah.
Did you have fun at the season awards?
Oh man, it was so good. Really, it was so good. Like, thank you so much. I also received so much reactions of colleagues, and people at home, and it's kind of really doing something for me already, because there's already this English production company that approached me, and it's good to send it out to production companies also, to let them know that you've received this award, and it's kind of So
Great.
Thanks so much.
Well, good for you. That's awesome to hear.
Very, very pleased. Well, if you have any success from it, which I'm sure you will do, please just let us know. Drop us a line about it, and keep in contact when things happen. That would be great.
Yeah, I'll do so. Yeah.
Brilliant.
But I mean, there's also still enough to, it's really cool, of course, but it's all still not like anything concrete has come out of it. So I need to,
of course.
I mean, I'm very optimistic, and I really, truly believe in my dreams, but it's just that I can feel that I struggle sometimes a little bit which kind of steps are the best steps to take, and especially also with this Rory Storm documentary that I send you, the synopsis. Have you read it?
Yes, I did this morning. I'm just bringing it up again. Can you, because we're recording these conversations to put on the platform. If anything useful comes out of it, we may or we may not. But can you just run through it so that if we do release it, then people can have a bit of a run into what we're going to be talking about?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So if I can run through my questions and through the project.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this is actually a project that's been on my mind for almost like 3-4 years. And do you want me to tell like a short summary of the idea?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
So my father's from Liverpool, and my grandfather was the manager of Rory Storm, and he's actually the front soldier in the late 50s who started playing rock and roll in Liverpool, and who really opened the doors for a lot of famous bands like the Beatles, Cilla Black, Jerry and the Pacemakers, and he was a very interesting character, very unique, because he couldn't converse, so he had such a bad stammer that he couldn't speak, but he could express himself through his stage talent, actually. So he was the first one also in the Cavern Club to play rock and roll and to dare to play it and to like hold on, and because it was a very conservative music scene, and Liverpool was so dilapidated, after the Second World War, very poor, but he was really someone who stood for his own unique personality and to show himself and to live his dreams, and he was very ahead of his time. Actually, he was kind of a David Bowie in that period of time. And the Beatles, they were a few years younger, and they supported him as a support act, and he was a big inspirer for them, because Ringo was in his star already. Ringo Starr was already in his band for like 3 years. And and the Beatles, and he actually really helped Ringo Starr a lot to keep on drumming, because he was coming from a very poor, area, and Rory had kind of he was a very working class boy, but had like kind of a good, warm family who was supporting him. So he really pushed Ringo Starr to keep on playing drumming. So they were actually, the two of them were really very strongly connected. And then, George Harrison wanted to be in his band, but he was too young, and Paul McCartney and John Lennon, they formed a band with George Harrison, and they've been supporting Rory so they could also play like rock and roll, on stage in Liverpool. So that's how they actually kind of got into the Cavern, and he really opened their doors. So he was kind of the king of Liverpool, and also a person for the youngsters to identify with. And they learned like a lot from him, and they've had such amazing, beautiful stories together, what they've experienced. And he has taken them to Hamburg also to play over there together with him. And then all of a sudden, of course, the Beatles were picked up by Brian Epstein, and Ringo Starr very abruptly left his band, So he his band collapsed and he couldn't find a drummer anymore, and it was getting like the Beats were getting like more famous and more famous, and he was kind of missing the boat to success. And actually no one knows why he missed that boat. Was it because of his stammer that he couldn't converse, to press or to people, or was it just bad luck, or was he too much of a strong character? But anyways, he kind of went down the hill because he couldn't work, like get a normal job. He couldn't be in a strong relationship because he couldn't converse, and he couldn't hold on to his identity anymore on stage. So for me, this story is also very much about self-acceptance and about social acceptance, especially in the 60s, you were quite stupid when you could not converse. And still now, I think it can be quite of a big problem. And so he later on, his father was a priest, like a really gentle man, and he died. And his mom always has been like very depressive. And his family home is a very interesting place because all the bands, and especially the Beatles and John Lennon and Paul McCartney, they came to his home, to his family home, every time after every gig. And his mom was cooking food for them because they didn't have a mom anymore. They both lost their mom, and they were kind of lost. So they even visited his family home incognito in Beatlemania, in danger of their own life, to be there again. But Ringo Starr left him quite abruptly, and I've just spoken to his sister, who was the only one who's still alive from the family, because she, at the end, when Rory was getting depressed because together with his mom, he was taking care of her. And then at one night, she found him dead together with his mom in their family home. And they know that his mom has committed suicide, but that she thinks that he didn't. Some people think that he did, but they've been researching it, but they still don't have any proof. And so she was the only one left.
Sorry, I just missed that last bit. So he was found dead with his mum at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't realize that bit. Wow.
Yeah, in their family home. So, and Iris, who is still alive, she was the ex-girlfriend of Paul McCartney, and he wrote Yesterday for her. And and she's still alive, so she lost like her whole family in like 1 week time. And it's and I just find it, I mean, there are so many amazing stories connected to it, that he was really an outstanding figure, walking around with a monkey in his jacket and helping drunk people from the street, getting into his car, giving them a lift, and people all of a sudden saw like the monkey and jumped out of the car. But he was like a great sportsman, so he was like a good athlete, and he was he was swimming through the Mersey, and he was always running back with his guitar on his back, and he was such a big drive, such a high energy, and he really was. I just think that he kind of deserves this recognition, because he is a forgotten legend that actually a lot of people don't know about anymore, only the people from that period of time. And there's also such an interesting Beatles history connected to it, because he was actually their big brother who opened doors for them, and who he's been performing with for like 3-4 years. And he really was the king of Liverpool, like #1 band, And the interesting thing is that when I spoke to Iris, his sister, that she told me that actually the way Ringo Starr left him, that was so abrupt, and that he even directed and produced a film inspired on Rory Storm. And one who was playing Rory Storm was Billy Fury, very famous personality in that time as a musician. And she says that Rory was just so hurt by that Ringo Starr actually didn't even spoke to him about his film, while it was based on him as a personality. And then after the loss of his father, and that he just couldn't be himself anymore, and because of his stammer, he James.
Oh.
James has left the building.
Bye, James. Oh, he is back. Give him a second to come back in. Is this Rory here? I was just bringing up the
black and
synopsis.
white picture.
Yeah. Was that him?
Yeah.
It took me ages to get it up. My computer doesn't like doing things whilst it's running this platform, but so it took a while to come up. But
Hey, James.
he's an interesting looking guy.
Yeah.
It's so connected,
Yeah.
so connected with your family as well. It sounds like a story it's an incredible story.
Yeah, I
and
know.
what's the bit
yeah.
what's the bit at the end? The your family's undertaking has buried John Lennon's mum.
Yeah.
So your family
so
has an undertaking practice.
Also, yeah.
Ah,
So-
wow, okay.
and they're kind of, that's another story that I want to script, but that's the next one, because they're kind of killing each other now because of my grandmother's will. So they're all really physically trying to kill each other for money. So it's another good script for a television series. Undertaking's family that's trying to.
James.
But oh yeah.
No, I can hear everything. I don't know why my webcam keeps turning off. It's very, very strange. All good. Carry on. I've got it. I'm getting everything. Don't worry.
You're getting everything. You're just dropping in and out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is a kind of and it's an interesting connection, because my grandfather was his manager in the time that Brian Epstein managed the Beatles. And what is very interesting about it actually is that I was kind of trying to research, like, why did he miss the boat to success? And then Iris, his sister that I spoke to this summer, who really wants me to make this, told me, like, well, Kelly, I didn't want to tell you, but actually I think that your grandfather might be one of the biggest reasons that Rory has missed the boat to success, because he didn't want to take Brian Epstein. He didn't want Brian Epstein to take Rory Storm's contract over. So I was like, yes, this is like really good for my for my story.
You're completing the karma wheel somehow.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I do. Honestly, it feels like that, because when I was a kid, I was already very fascinated by his pictures, that I saw. And I've always felt that I know that I'm going to make this documentary and story, that it has great potential, I think. The only thing 100%. Is that it's been such a big mountain for me, because when I started working about it, I was like, okay, how am I going to do this? Because first of all, I want to try it on my own, but then I thought, like, there's a lot of archive material with, for instance, John Lennon on it and Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr. Yeah, am I going to call like Yoko Ono?
Yeah. How would you? I mean, this is a question for later, but like, how would you deal with the storytelling aspect for when there's no footage, like the stories of the monkeys and the jackets and all of that kind of stuff?
So
tricky.
That's the thing is that we don't have any moving images, but there's only one video of him, moving image video, but there are like really a lot of great pictures. And there are still talking heads alive, and I do think that Liverpoolian kind of people, that they are quite great storytellers, and his sister is a really good storyteller too. But I was actually thinking what I would like to achieve is to kind of create I do want to create a dynamic documentary that is a tribute to the period of time and also to him as a person. So I was thinking about using collage art and maybe illustrations to fill it in, or maybe even fictive scenes, because I already found a man who looks exactly like him. And he is a kind of flamboyant guy. Actually, he's a dancer. And so that's a way of, that's what I'm working on now. That I'm thinking like, okay, I would see it like that. Do you know the album Revolver of the Beatles that's been designed by Klaus Voormann?
Yeah.
He created like these illustrations, and then he combined it with pictures. And I would like to see if I could use this kind of collage art to get like pictures in the screen, or to maybe that's also for me a new step, because I've never made a documentary, and I'm more used to it to write a script and to see it in my head from A to Z. And now I need to do that
Throw that away.
I find that kind of Yeah,
because the story will take shape in the edit, right? I mean, you can have your themes that you want to explore, but like you have to be open to some stuff will come that you would never have even predicted. This is a good segue into it, really. So where are you right now with this project? Like what's happened and what's the next steps for you?
Yeah, so now I'm working on the treatment, like to make it complete, and I would like to write the script in a way if I could script it. But I'm actually now in a point that I've had some conversations, some advice conversations also with the producer who produced Shores, to ask him like, okay, am I going to produce this on my own with private investors and maybe hire people to help me out to keep the project as close as possible to me, because that's my biggest fear, and also my why I haven't been making it for 3-4 years, because I just didn't dare to approach big production companies with it, because I was afraid that they will say like, okay, Kelly, thank you very much for the idea. You've never directed any documentary, so that my position in the negotiations would not be so strong. And,
well, you say that, but the power is, immediately, my impression anyway, I might be wrong about this, but the power is your relationship to this story. So therefore your relationships with all of the key players.
Yeah, completely.
Because that's kind of irreplaceable, really. So anybody that's serious about making this would, if you approach them, and I mean, okay, let's just say that they are like the type of company that would steal an idea and do it without you. Like, I think they'd be silly because they wouldn't have the relationships that you do. It's impossible, I think. So
100%.
And that's your power as well.
It's a little bit of a negative. I don't want to be negative or not trustful to people, but I can feel that it's, and also that. So I'm in a state that I do realize now that I do think, and I also want to ask you for advice, that
especially
I do need to,
sorry, just because it's just popped into my mind, especially if you're already in talks with these people, you can already get contract signed. So what would it look like? Not some commercial contracts, but you can like letters of intent saying that you're going to make this documentary. You would be interviewing them over a course of a couple of months. Are they willing to be interviewed? Are they willing to talk on camera? And would they sign a what's the word? Just escaped me. An artist's waiver form. I mean, that's not the right phrase, but you get what I'm saying. Would they sign one of those? And if you get like signatures on a paper, on pages of all the key players in the story, and then you have like a rough script mapped out, you have like dates, availability, rough availabilities for everything, then that's the beginning of something like incredibly powerful. So anybody that's in a position to be able to fund you would see that and be like, okay, she's serious. She's got these connections. This is a great story. We've got some really exciting producers that you can work with to help you along the way. Let's go. Let's do it. Or you can, do you know what I mean? If you come with like tangible things like that, which it sounds like you can easily together, right? Then I don't think anybody's
already because it made me realize that I do need to work together with a serious production company. Also, if I want to approach Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr, that's what my feeling says. That it needs to be a kind of a prestige. How would you say, the production company that they might, and so I do have a man. He's called Emre Irat, and he works for Blue Grey Films, and he produced for like Netflix and BBC and these kind of production companies. And he worked for Off the Fence. I don't know if you know them. They're like a really big production company for documentaries. And Off the Fence.
Off the Fence. Okay, yes, I do. I thought you said Octopence or something.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Carry on.
Yeah, so and he said that he's interested to talk about it, and that he also knows someone, an investor for music documentaries, and he seems to be through someone that I know quite well. He connected me to him, and he's been making like documentaries like really from the heart for like 10 years for
Brilliant.
kind of big
That's
name
what you need.
production companies. And he seems to be quite honest.
What's been his track record so far? What's he actually been doing?
He's been. I can find it. Let me check. Oh, I'm so happy that I can talk with you about this, because it's. Thank you so much. Let's see.
No problem. No problem. It's our pleasure.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it's a good idea to don't limit yourself just to one potential relationship. Get a list of like companies that have done this type of thing before, and you'd be interested in potentially working with. There's probably only a handful that exist, right? That done this, and then see their routes to market and who they've worked with, and then it gives you more power when you're in.
Yeah, and he's like Emre an Emmy-nominated documentary producer and television professional, and he is genres including natural history, science, engineering, history, blah blah, music, and he worked for National Geographic, Discovery, Netflix, TLC, and he produced, including Mystery, Gorilla, Untamed Americas. And he's done quite a lot, I think. Or I know. But I just, No, but he made.
Great. So what's the next step for you with regards to your connection with this guy?
Well, actually, I was wondering if I want to ask you if you might know someone who would be interested in it to produce this, or who you feel trustful with, or as the right person. Actually,
I mean, the only thing that comes to mind straight away, and I'm not necessarily sure this is right, but I mean, have a look at them. And I don't know if they would. They're more of a sales agent. I don't know if they would give you money. But Movie House have a history of music documentaries. But they're boutique and they're UK. But this would be right up their street. They would love it if you approached them with it.
It would certainly be worth a telephone call just to have a conversation with them. They've just been to Berlin recently. Whilst we've been talking, I've been Googling them immediately and having a look at, do you remember Oil City Confidential as well, Ben? That documentary about Dr. Feelgood. There's a producer called Stephen Mallet as well. I don't know him personally. I don't know if Ben, do you know Stephen Mallet at all? He's produced he's produced things like Oil City Confidential back in 2009. Under Milkwood, he did some stuff for TV. He clearly has an interest in music, documentaries, music content. He might be somebody that you would want to try and get hold of. But definitely Movie House for things like pre-sales from sales agents, because you can get money to make the film by the sales agent before you actually make the film, which is pretty good. But they would then have the hold of the rights. We've crossed paths with Movie House on several occasions, and they're a good bunch of guys. And I'm sure that if the project wasn't necessarily for them, I'm sure they would be able to aid you in your pursuit for funding and things like that, and maybe even offer up some ideas for some producers that they've worked with in the past that would be interested in something like this. The access to the story, the personal access to the story, is definitely the vein that you need to go down to prevent, like you say, from the project being taken away from you. I would immediately go and speak to the press officers and the people, like the managers and stuff, of the people like Ringo Starr and the estate of John Lennon. So Yoko Ono, for example, we actually produced a film. We didn't produce a film, sorry. We screened a film in Tokyo Liftoff a few years ago by by a guy called Eda Santos, who received some funding from Yoko Ono. So we could
She bought his
contact Eda.
artwork.
She bought his artwork, yeah. And he actually used her poem as the dialogue for the film that he produced. So he has a strong connection with Yoko, and we could possibly put you in connection with him. And then if you have a big pack set up and some information to hand, we can send that to Eda, and then Eda can make that connection happen for you. Yoko Ono was really, really supportive of his project. Like I say, it was actually her poem that was the dialogue for his film.
Oh wow.
So there is definitely a connection there.
Yeah, there's a possibility there. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, there really is. Align all the planets, I guess.
I get the sense that you're holding back talking to the big people, in inverted commas, like the Yokos and the Ringo Starrs, and those. I get it. So I would encourage you to not be afraid of that, and to start the process as soon as possible, because whilst you don't want to mess it up, right? Of course, because it is, if you piss them off, then or make them scared, then you can burn bridges. But you don't want to be like tentative and think, okay, I'm going to have everything set up before I ask them. You want to find the right people to talk to, and make sure that the right message gets to the right person as soon as possible, because you may never know that they may go absolutely yes, let's help it, let's make it together, or like, can I give you money or something. You never know what's going to happen. So don't be afraid of that. Like,
the only thing with Ringo Starr is that I don't know, because in a way, he might. I mean, it's not that I don't want anyone to come out like. I don't want anyone to come out like negative in the documentary, not in that way. But I'm not. I might probably refer to it in a documentary that he left Rory quite abrupt, and that he, produced this film without even speaking to him, and so.
He's probably got reasons for that, right? I mean, maybe he wants to tell that story, or maybe he isn't interested in tell that story. You don't know until you ask him. But if that's a thing in his life, then he might want to resolve it. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, true. Yeah, but don't you think that I need to have like a serious production company standing next to me before approaching these people?
No. I can help. You could also use it both ways. You can say, I'm a producer, I'm in talks with XYZ.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to be making this. And then you can say to the production companies, I'm in talks with Ringo Starr's people. They're interested in working with you. You can you can connect them together like that.
Yeah.
Definitely, that's the most important thing. The number one hurdle in any of these sorts of productions, as you probably know from doing something yourself and doing your own productions yourself, is starting.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't hear you, James.
Like Ben's saying, if you're saying to the producers,
Oh, hang on. There's gremlins.
Yeah, there you are again.
Sort of like weird, but I was just reiterating what Ben was saying. Basically, I was just saying that it's really, really important to. You're the producer. You are the person that's concepting this idea. Just because you aren't necessarily getting the money out of your pocket and presenting the cash to make the work, it doesn't mean that you're not producing it. You are producing it. You're going to produce it and you're going to direct it. But this is your idea. This is your story. This is what you want to do. So you are the producer. So you must say, I'm producing this. We're bringing on other producers from other production companies. Would you be interested? We're having conversations with X, Y, Z. And it doesn't matter if they say, oh, you're having conversations with X, Y, Z. What have they said? And you say, well, it's very preliminary at the moment. We're trying to get you involved so that we can then take this to the next step. And you can say the same thing on the other side. And you just bring them together. That's what producers do. Producers bring everything together, and then you control the entire project. And at the same time, you're asking for help from other people and getting things put together, and it all starts to snowball. It starts a snowball effect. Then before you know it, the project starts taking a life of its own, and then the project moves forward without you even trying to make it move forward. And before you know it, you've got everybody involved, everybody together, you've got all your money, and you're making your project. You've just got to start bringing it in.
Yeah.
Okay.
And and I think that it would be good to have a script already before I approach them, right? And then before I approach
it can't hurt.
But again, it's also you're dealing with fellow creatives on in every corner. You'll be dealing with fellow creatives, so you'll be talking with sales agents that have had similar films where those films have worked. You'll be dealing, or some people with similar films where the films haven't worked. You'll be dealing with producers with the same story. And if you're dealing directly with the artists like Ringo Starr, for instance, and all the other people that have been involved, they're also creators as well. So when you present the script, you must make sure that you make it abundantly clear that the script is a fluid creative process, that it's not set in stone, that things can be changed. Because if somebody looks at the script immediately and says, well, this script doesn't work, you don't want them to think that you're not going to be able to rework it. You want to make sure that the script it's just a guide. It's a guideline to how we want to make this work. And that's kind of how you need to be saying to them. As soon as you have a meeting with these people, it's not about you anymore. It's about everyone together as a collective team and the project. And say, for example, you get a meeting with Ringo Starr and you chat to Ringo Starr about his plans for your work. The best thing to do is to always use the word we. We're going to do this. We're going to try and do this. We're going to try and make that happen, without making it about you per se, because it can. You always want to make sure that you've got a team even before people commit. You want to make sure some form of ownership over it, or else it's not gonna bite them in the way that it's biting you enthusiastically. You know.
Yeah.
So always control it, but always make sure that you're fluid with your approach, so people know that you can be flexible. Yeah.
And in terms of the script, and it sounds like you've already thought about this. I get this impression from the way that you've been talking, but I didn't necessarily get it from the synopsis. And they can change, and they don't have to be set in stone so much as if it was like a narrative piece, for example. But I think it's always a good idea to, and again, you already know this. You've already given the sense that you're doing this. But that what is the documentary about? Like, there's the nice stories, the nice things that have happened, like the incredible circumstances and all of that. But like at the heart of the piece, what is it about? Like the key themes that you're exploring, because those, as well as the story, those are the things that are going to get people excited about it. Like, is it a story about success? Is it a story about like communication troubles and the road to stardom? Is it? I mean, all of the the potential different themes that will run through it. Yeah,
and that's something that I do need to interfere in the synopsis, right?
Yeah, I think so, because it's
clear in the
Because why are you telling this story, or what? So at the moment you're outside of it, right? You haven't kind of gone into it to explore it, to tell it, so it's not finished. But why, from the position that you are at the moment, what's the best guess from your point of view as to what is going to be, what's it going to be like on the inside? Like, what are you going to be, like, why actually answer this question? What is the heart of the story?
Yeah, I think that for me, it's mostly about it is a success and failure story for sure, and also in the way of the search of self-acceptance, and also the way the social environment affects that, and how for me it's very much about self-belief and self-acceptance, like finding that, and his struggle with it, and his struggle with imperfection.
Yeah, so that's really clear. So that's what those themes, and again, you may uncover more, but those themes will shape the interviews. They'll shape everything down to the shots that you decide to do, and everything from the conversations that you have with people. And actually, those are going to be the things that make Ringo want to be involved in it, because rather than like, I'm making a documentary because I want to find out why you left this guy when you were in your teenage years, it's, this has happened, but I'm making a documentary about like success and failure.
Yeah.
So that's the central theme. Would you be interested in? He's more likely to go, yeah, do you know what, actually, like, hey, welcome back.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure. And do you believe in the project? Like, what do you think of it? Do you think
100%.
Yeah, definitely.
It makes me very excited. Like, it's not a part of history that I'm particularly connected with. I've got a very loose, I'm not a Beatles like mega fan, but I think that even having said that, it still excites me. It still makes me go, whoa, I didn't like, I've heard the Hamburg thing, like the Hamburg, it's a story that I've heard before where, is it Malcolm Gladwell? Is that the right author? The 10,000 hours thing? So to become a master, to become a master at something, you have to do 10,000 hours at it. And he gives the example of the Beatles going to play in Hamburg. So it's a common story. And I didn't know that was actually, he was connected to it. I didn't even know he existed. So yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah. And because and also I do think that I mean I need to interview quite some people quite soon also, because they're all very old, and it's kind of in a way a ticking time bomb for me. The project. I need to. Every time with the news, I'm like, okay, let's Ringo Starr, Paul McCartney be still alive. But I do think that I need to interview some that I might need to just like in a few weeks' time grab a camera and go to Liverpool and interview people who are still alive over there, and create like a good setup. And
for sure,
without a doubt.
Like especially when you get going, then people can join you later.
Yeah. And
definitely.
we also, I will try to see if I can find the money for it and the material and everything from Holland, or to see with who am I going to produce it. But would it be something that you might be able to help in to with maybe material wise, or it might be a rude question, but
no.
I mean, I don't want to be like too direct in it, but I was just
no, be direct is good.
Yeah.
So we have access. We have access to bits of equipment being in Pinewood and with our partners. We don't have any ourselves, so it's dependent on other relationships. But absolutely, yeah, we can. If you have a couple of solid dates, like I'm planning to do these on these dates, we can get hold of like cameras and lenses and provide, and then maybe even give you people to help you and that kind of stuff. Lights.
Yeah, that would be really nice. And I don't know if it's
a proof of concept would also work really well. Like if you were to create some kind of proof of concept up in Liverpool, definitely. I don't know if I missed that point, if that's what you guys are talking about. But,
no.
We would definitely be able to help.
Yeah. Oh, great! Yeah, that would be so helpful already to get like that recorded, and to that would be really, really awesome. And I mean, we just need to think. I mean, it's in Liverpool, of course. So, but then that will come later logistically.
Can you shoot and edit?
No, I can't. But I do
That's
have
okay.
a cinematographer, Gabor, who's willing to. He shot shorts also, so he would like to do that. Yeah.
Great.
Okay, great.
So yeah, and I might need to find like I think that I can find people over here to like do sound and camera. But I might want to ask you also for advice for someone, for a script writer, to help me out to write a script documentary. I want to try to see how far I can get myself, but I do think that I would need to ask a coach, maybe a mentor, to help me with it, because I just have to be true to myself. And I've directed a few things, but I've never directed a documentary. And I think that there are people that are so much more experienced, that's
Yeah, sure. No, it's always good to reach out and to learn.
Yeah, exactly. And also,
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, have you had a look on the platform and seen if there's any similar scripts that people have created that you quite like?
No,
have you had a look on our script database?
No. No, I haven't. But then I'll do so, yeah. To see if I can.
Maybe if I turn my microphone off, there we go. Sorry, was I heard then? I don't know if I was heard.
Yes,
yeah, you were. Heard, yeah.
Yes,
I was.
Yes.
Okay, cool. I kind of everything went a little bit. I was like, okay, that's strange. The script database is definitely a good place to head to. Have a look through there. Look at the script, see if there's anything that speaks to you. And also, we can certainly search through our archive of films that we've had so far, that we've received, that we've screened so far, and we can contact a whole bunch of people and see what they think.
Just trying to think.
What would be your next step here, do you think, then, Kelly?
My next step would to complete this treatment like this week and next week, and to start writing the script next week, and to do a lot of research. And actually, I wanted to first of all find money for it, to develop it. But maybe I should just like not do it, because it's taking too much time. And I'm just trying to manage myself to keep my head above the water financially, and to put a lot of time and effort in the project. Because I know that it's just taking a lot of research. There's a lot of archive material and everything to go through. But yeah, I do think that it would be smart to. I'm hesitating if I should start writing a script, or if I should first focus on the treatments, and then approach the producer and maybe the key people, and then start writing the script. But I do think that it will be better to start writing the script, because also for my position as a director, and you know what I'm, and also I don't know, just as a position as a director and a producer in the project.
Yeah, but I think it's your own process, isn't it? Really, so however it comes together, I think you have to be open to it all happening at the same time and piecing together bits as and when you can. Yeah.
But at one point, I do think it would be good to start working together with a writer.
Yeah.
Based on my on the script that I have written.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any similar projects that we've come across that come through us, but I can't. There's nothing that comes to mind really.
There's a few ideas. There's a few sort of not themed stuff, not connecting with the same sort of genre, but I'm sure there'll be some things that we can look at with regards to the screenwriting aspect of it. A lot of the time in indie documentary filmmaking, we get a lot of documentaries that are just literally go out and get as much footage as possible and then leave it all down to post to see what they do to create it all together. I definitely would not suggest doing it like that, unless you have tons and tons and tons of like library footage and things, but you don't. You have photographs, so it's a different thing. I honestly think that the biggest, the two major things you need to do is to bring the people together first of all. Take the position as a producer at this stage and bring the people together. The next step would be to go out and get some footage recorded, get some preliminary interviews made, and then use those preliminary interviews or those preliminary an interview with maybe a voiceover or something like that, just something that's very short, something that's sort of like 4 to 5 minutes in length, and then
like cut a trailer.
That as like a trailer, like cut a trailer for it, like a proof of concept, and then use that to then speak to people like sales agents, and maybe even get that done first, and then go to the powers that be, in inverted commas, and get them to like see if they can help you out.
Like with who do you mean with them?
So
James,
with everybody, so with everyone, I'm kind of going back on what I just said. So basically, do the video first, get as many interviews as you possibly can. Obviously, if you get an interview with Ringo Starr, amazing. You might not, you probably won't. So use that as sort of a springboard to then get the interview with Ringo Starr, but make sure that you get all the key players involved in the story first of all, and get them interviewed, and get the story kind of outlined like in a trailer, and then take that to sales agents and to producers and to Ringo Starr's people and to the John Lennon estate, to Yoko Ono, to Sir Paul McCartney, to all the different people that you need. And try and say, like, this is the concept, this is what we're trying to do, are you on board?
Yeah
We've got another call in a couple of minutes, so we're gonna have to wrap it up, Kelly, but please stay in touch. Please promise to stay in touch, because this sounds very exciting, and we'd love to, whenever you want to jump on a call with us, we're more than happy to, if you want to chat things through, or if you want to
thank you.
At every stage, like, this is the beginning. We want to be let's have one of these at every stage so we can.
Well, thank you so much, really. Like, it means so much to me, guys. I'm very, very thankful.
It's our pleasure.
Yeah, honestly. And also, like, I would love to involve you in the projects in every way that I can, actually. So
cool, great.
Also think about, like, I wanted to approach you for that also. Like, I would be very much open for it, because it feels so trustful with you and Natalie and the organization that I would love to work together on this on the project.
Okay, great.
So,
great.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, let us know where you take this. What your next mission is going to be. Create a timeline for yourself of when you want to be getting everything into place, and then come in and meet with us, and we'll discuss everything that needs to be done, and then.
Yeah. Thanks. And can I just ask you one more question?
Sure.
Like, last one is, James, it's just that I'm a little bit now hesitating in which following order I should do it, because I was actually thinking about the way you say it, like to create this kind of trailer, and to interview these kind of people and then approach someone. But now I kind of was convinced that I should approach a producer first, and maybe not even like, and then like let them help me kind of to line out all the things that I need to, that we need to do, like, together. You know what I mean? That I wanted to actually kind of directly approach a producer to help me out to set it up, the project, after the step of having my treatment ready for it. But now I'm hesitating if I should. Oh yeah, I'm just. I'm not so clear, but I'm just hesitating if I should not directly approach a producer after with my treatment, and from there start interviewing these people. And
I guess you have to be open to it, I think, from my position, but I don't know. I don't think there's a definitive answer to that, really, because you could speak to a producer and it could be the right fit, and they could be like, amazing, that's a possibility. You could speak to, I think what's the purpose of getting getting stuff on screen as soon as you can. The purpose of that is to like start the process and to and to create something that is, it's very hard to get people to listen to an idea. If it's more than an idea, if it's something tangible, if you've already got people talking, if you've already got stuff, it's much easier to open doors with that, and the ball starts rolling. It becomes less about like cerebral thinking about stuff and putting it on paper and then that taking a while. It's more about like getting the action of getting something down. So I don't know, but I wouldn't say hold off talking to producers before you've done that. You can do both at the same time.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Ben.
No
I
problems.
just need to not be so. I just need to do it and go for it.
Well, that's the.
Yes, you do.
Like, oh,
Yes,
well,
you do.
you know? Yeah, I know.
You don't know because it happens with everything, right? You imagine obstacles or potential problems, and then you plan for those potential problems. But then when you actually start doing, those potential problems never actually occur. You get other problems. So
yeah,
I mean, plan as much as possible, but also do. Like do and plan, and then maybe you have to do 2 or 3 things at the same time. It's tricky.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, you need to go, guys. Otherwise,
yes, we do. Yeah, we've got a 1 o'clock. Thank you so much, Kelly.
Okay, take care.
Stay in touch, and we'll speak soon. All right.
Yes. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Okay. Bye.
Bye. Bye.